Hey friendlies, I'm Carolyn. Welcome back to my life. My life. My life. I was working on a completely different video for you today, and in preparing that video, I discovered I got ripped off.
There ain't nobody gonna do it for you. You got to find your own.
And I'm upset, and I'm in the middle of dealing with it. And I was like, okay, well, I need to calm down so that I can get this video shot for you guys tonight. And then I'm like, you know what? This is an excellent learning experience, learning opportunity, not only for me, but for you guys as well. So, I just got a bunch of work done on my RV. And whenever I get work done on my RV, I get a handful or more of people who say, you got ripped off. You got ripped off. I hate it. Mechanics especially rip off women, they say. And I always brush it off. And I'm like, I don't believe that. For one thing, I believe that I'm smart enough over calculating my automobile intelligence, I guess, and my own knowledge, I guess, is the best way to put it. But I also think, for the most part, people are good. And this is something I constantly struggle with. Am I naive? I don't think so. Am I gullible? Yeah, maybe. I might be a little gullible. And I find this so fascinating that everything I have been through, being raised by a horrible guy and, all the everything that I have been through, experiencing liars and cheats and thieves and bad people, I still think people are good. And I think, a business isn't going to rip you off on purpose. I mean, who does that? Well, I found out, whenever it's like my beliefs constantly get challenged, especially when it comes to people. And it is really hard for me to think that somebody would intentionally just rip somebody off. And many of you have seen me deal with trolls so much over the years. And I think it's kind of all in the same line of my personality, that my thought that I really still think most people are good. That's why I'm able to thrive out here. And I think that's why it's so hard for me to deal with trolls, because I don't understand how people can be so evil. I don't understand. And I was just having this conversation with another YouTuber on Twitter yesterday. It's really hard for me to understand how people can just be so mean and evil just for the sake of being mean and evil. And the same is true with mechanics and people. I mean, who would rip somebody off? I just don't understand. So let me tell you the story. You all know I just got all that work done on my RV. I took it in for shocks. And one of you a year ago had suggested a certain RV, a certain mechanic in the city that I was in, and I couldn't remember who it was. I did a search in the comments. I couldn't find it. And so I tried to go on memory. I thought I had starred it or something, and I didn't. So I tried to go on memory, and I found this mechanic in the city that I was in. And I can't ask. One of you was like, I have an idea. Why don't you just ask your viewers to recommend a mechanic? You know why I can't do that. Tens of thousands of people would know where I am. And many of those don't like me, and some like me a little too much. So I can't just, life of a YouTuber. I can't just tell people where I am. Life of a female YouTuber, I should say. All right. So I tried to go on memory, and I tried to remember the name of the shop that whoever it was you had recommended. And I found this one shop, and I'm like, yeah, that might be it. And I read the Google reviews, and they had 4.5 stars Google reviews. And I was like, okay, well, that's good enough for me. And so I took it in for shocks, and he was just like, I had to drop it off. There's lessons in here. There's stuff for you to remember. So just bear with the story. I dropped it off, rented a car, got a hotel. He had it for a few hours or a day or half a day or whatever. And he called me, and he's like, okay, in addition to shocks, you need front brakes. Your rotors are torn up. They're scratched. They're horrible. They're terrible. And you need, your tires aren't as good as you think they are. You need all new tires. And I'm like, really? And stupid me left all my records in the rig. Stupid me. But I was like, I could swear I got new front brakes like within the last year, but I couldn't remember and I didn't have my paperwork on me. He's like, oh no, they're down to like a tenth and your rotors are a mess. They're all scratched up and they're blue. And I'm like, well, that seems really weird. I could swear, but I don't trust my memory. And I was like, all right, if you say so. I know, I'm an idiot. If you say so. And the tires made sense to me because I knew my shocks, 100,000 miles. I did the Dalton Highway. I'll put the link up here. That's, how much? 800 miles on the Dalton Highway? I mean, it broke my refrigerator. So the shocks, I knew the shocks, plus the places I go and where I drive. I'm sorry, I'll slow down. Coffee, adrenaline, anger. And so the tires made more sense to me. I'd been piecemealing my tires together, I guess. And I'm going through my records, preparing for the other video I was going to do. And I can't find a receipt. Oh, my God. Okay. So here's, okay. I'm missing 2 receipts, it seems. I keep good records. Partly for tax purposes, but partly just because I want all the records of my RV. I keep them all in one place, and I was going through all those records for this video that I'm preparing for you, and the only 2 receipts that are missing now that I'm thinking about it, I knew the receipt for the brake job was missing. I just called the people, so I had to go through my bank statements. I'm like, I know I got work done last year. I know it. So I went through all my bank statements, and I found a charge for last February for $900, and I'm like, that must have been my brakes. I couldn't find the receipt for them, though. And so I called the shop that did it, and I'm like, can you look up this receipt for me, this invoice, and tell me the work that you did? And he's like, oh yeah, sure. We did brand new front brake pads. We did the resealed the wheel bearings and brand new rotors, which is exactly what the guy just charged me for. He said they were all shot and all needed to be redone. So somebody's lying to me. Either the shop that I took it to last year didn't do the work they said they did, or the guy that I took the rig to last week lied and said I needed this work that I didn't need. And he either redid it or he didn't do it at all. And so I've got a lot going through my mind right now. I'm thinking, so the shop, I'll call it the P shop. The P shop that I took it to, that sounds terrible. The tire shop that I took it to last year, I go to them a lot. They do a lot of work for me, tires and stuff like that, and brakes. And they said I had 90,000 miles on it when they did the brakes last year. I now have 101,000 miles on it. And I'm like, well, that's interesting, because I just took it into a different shop, and they told me I needed all new brakes and rotors. He said, there is no way you needed all that. So either the new shop replaced all that and it didn't need to be replaced, or they didn't replace it because they looked at it and they're like, oh, all this is in really good shape. I'll tell her she needs it, and it'll last another 30,000 miles. She won't know the difference. So I'm going to take it in on Monday and see if they to somebody else. I'm going to take it to a somebody completely objective, and see if the guy that I just took it to, if he actually did do the work. And if not, I'm gonna yeah. If not, yeah. So that's my story. Somebody's lying to me, and I'm upset, and I'm really mad. I'm mad at myself for not listening to my gut. My gut said, when he called me and I was in the hotel and he said, you need all this work, my gut was, I have a rental car, go to the rig and get your paperwork and verify this. And I didn't do it. And so I'm pretty mad at myself for not listening. Again, how many times do I say listen to your gut? The other tell, and I don't know yet who's lying to me. Somebody's lying to me, but I think I know who it is. I think it's the guy last week. The other tell is that he gave me a quote for $4,500, and I was like, wow, that's a lot. That is a lot. And I was like, you're doing a lot of labor. You're going to be in there. It's going to be up or whatever. Is there anything you can do on that price? Can you help me out a little bit on it? Right off the bat, he gave me $250 off. It's a little bit of a tell. That's a little bit of a tell of a guilty conscience, in my opinion, right? And So interestingly, so now I'm thinking about it, I'm like, it's really interesting. I have all of my receipts except the receipt for the brake work last year. And now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, I could have swear at some point I got 6 brand new tires. All 6 I replaced at once, and I can't find the receipt for that. And I didn't see it in my bank statements. I went through my bank statements over the last year, but I didn't check one credit card. That's weird. Don't want to go paranoid. I tend to get a little paranoid sometimes when stuff like this happens. But they did have my rig in their shop for 4 days. And it's not that easy to find my records. Or it's not that hard to find my records if you know what you're looking for. That's paranoid. That's way paranoid. Yeah, I think that's too paranoid. But, so my lesson to you, especially women, here is my lesson. Number 1, if they make you drop off your rig, which a lot of times they do, take your records with you so that when they call you and they say you need new brakes, you can pull up your records and say, no, I got those done 10,000 miles ago. How in the world can I need new brakes? And if they insist that, nope, I don't know, but they're worn. Maybe they didn't do a good job last year, or he told me, he was like, well, you brake too much going downhill. And I'm like, yeah, no, that's not the case at all. I know how to drive my rig. And the second thing that this will do is if you have your records, it'll help confirm for you what you know. And that is, no, I got the brakes done a year ago. And that way, if they insist that you need them still, you're like, okay, and you can either say, okay, I'll be right there. I want to see this for myself, or not tell them and surprise them. That's what I would do. I'd be like, all right, and then I would jump in my car like right then and there and go down there and say, okay, show me. And I think it's really important to know, and I had so many brake jobs done on my Matilda. Now I wonder. Know what a brand new rotor looks like versus an old scratched or blue rotor. Know what brake pads look like. Know what they look like if they're brand new. Know what they look like if they're down a little bit. Make sure. I'm kicking myself in the butt now. I thought my tires were in pretty good shape. And I was saying earlier, I didn't doubt the tire so much because with bad shocks, things, go shimmy, tires get worn really oddly. And he told me, yeah, you got dry rot in your tires, which sounded weird to me. I'm like, how can I have dry rot in my tires? And I'm really kicking myself now. So the other lesson that I would recommend is, number 1, make sure you get underneath your vehicle. And not even if you're not going in for tires, it's just a good idea if you're going to take your rig in and somebody's going to tell you, you're doing shocks, and all of a sudden they're going to be like, yeah, you need new tires. You need to know without a shadow of a doubt what kind of shape everything is in. Know the last time you got an oil change. Get in there, get under your rig, look at your tires, look at the sidewalls, look at the tread, take pictures if you have to. I think that's a good idea. Take pictures of the tires. Oh my God, that reminds me. I should look at my inner duals now to see even if I can't see my inner duals. Did they give me brand new tires on the inners? Oh man, I'm really upset right now. But it is a good idea. I thought I knew enough to not get ripped off, and I thought people were trustworthy enough to not take advantage of a situation. Sorry, I'm facing the wrong way. And so take your paperwork with you. Inspect your vehicle before you take it into a shop. Check all your fluids, check underneath, make sure see if there are any leaks, because they'll come at you, with all kinds of stuff. Check all your tires, take pictures so that you know the condition of your vehicle, of your RV, your van, or your car before you take it into a shop, so that you can challenge them and be better educated. I screwed up, and I'm kind of beating myself up about it right now. I'm really upset. And so I called both shops. I called the shop that did the brake work last year, and I'm like, yeah, so this guy's telling me, I already paid to get it done. And he's just like, yeah, no, there's absolutely no way you needed all of that done again. New rotors. And usually I thought if your rotors are worn, you can feel it. You can feel the scraping on it. And I didn't feel anything. And I trusted him. Stupid. Nice guy. You know, he was a nice guy, but most con artists are, right? Told me everything I wanted to hear. And, you know, you hear me. I've already have my mind made up who's lying to me. But what else was I going to say? So I called him after I got off the phone with the shop from last year. I called the guy from last week, and I'm like, so I'm kind of confused. I said, I'm looking through my paperwork, and I did, in fact, get my brakes done last February, with 90,000 miles. So that means the brakes that you said were shot only had 11,000 miles on them. And he's like, yeah, I don't know what happened, man. I don't know. But yeah, they were shot. Oh, the rotors were horrible, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, well, I find that really interesting, because the shop I usually take it to did all this work last year. And I was like, there's no way my brakes could be worn out in 11,000 miles, right? And he's like, no, I don't know. And I'm like, well, would you happen to have the parts still? I want to see the parts. And he's like, I don't know, probably not. But maybe I might have the rotor. I'm like, well, how would I know what rotor you show me if I come down there? And he's like, well, it's a 1-ton rotor. It should be pretty easy. I'm like, okay. And he's like, all right, well, I'm like, yeah, well, something's fishy here. I said, somebody's lying to me, and I'm not sure who. And he's like, well, I'm gonna go look for that loader, your rotors. I'm gonna look for them, and I'll call you right back. It's been an hour, and he hasn't called me back. So I'm going to take it in on Monday to a completely different shop, independent, neither of those shops. I'm going to have my front brakes looked at. What I'm thinking right now is that the guy last week didn't do anything. I'm thinking the brakes and the rotors that are on there are what was put on last year. You know, it's possible they put on brand new stuff just to get the work. But why would they do that? I'm so upset. So stay tuned. I'll let you know on Monday or sometime next week. I'll let you know what I find out. But I wanted to share this with you because people aren't honest. People aren't good. People suck. That's not fair. Most people are good. I just can't imagine doing business like that. And so I went online again today and dug a little deeper on reviews and their Yelp. You know, I don't really trust much. I mean, everybody looks at Google reviews, but Yelp is not as kind and friendly toward them. A lot of people said that they did work that didn't need to be done, that they charged them too much, that they said they did work that they didn't do. And I didn't see those the first time. I didn't do my due diligence. I'm not good at that. I'm not detail oriented, and I'm too trusting. I don't believe, so this is what I think about also the free market, right? I believe that a bad business will go out of business, you know, that they won't be supported, that they can't, I'm like, how long can you stay in business if you're dishonest, right? That's what I always thought. How long? You can't stay in business if you're dishonest. Well, apparently you can, because people like me don't know any better. But I will fight this. I'm telling you, if those brakes and everything on the front are from last year, if they've got 10,000 miles worth of wear and tear on it, this guy's got to fight. You don't mess with me. You don't mess with me. I'm very trusting, but when you screw me over, watch out. Watch out. I actually will give you his name, just to warn you. I'm not going to do it right now because I don't know, and I also don't really want you to know where I am yet, but I will give you his name. If it turns out to be that he ripped me off, you will know who he is. Not only will I write bad reviews on every single place that I can, I have a platform, and I'm going to use it. Don't mess with me. All right. Take your paperwork with you, know your vehicle, take pictures if you have to, study your tires, if you can, and I should know how to do this stuff, I just don't want to. You know, I should be able to just remove a tire and look at a brake. I can, I just don't want to. I don't like doing stuff like that, but you know, if you're about to get on the road, it really might be a good idea just to take a general auto maintenance class, just so that you're more comfortable with stuff like this, because unfortunately, there are people out there, mechanics, other people, everybody in every industry, it's not just mechanics, who will rip you off. So, I got ripped off. Somebody's lying to me. All right, I think that's all I have for you. I think I will still try to get the other video shot for you. One other thing, today is my 5-year anniversary on the road, and it's no April Fool's. This is all real. This is not an April Fool's joke. I wish it was, but yeah, 5 years ago today, I moved into my RV. Woohoo! So I have a week, maybe a couple weeks worth of videos planned to kind of celebrate my 5 years on the road, and another video today that I'm going to work on. I'm not sure when I'll put it up now. Maybe today, maybe tomorrow, maybe Saturday. All about my RV. What I'm going to do is tell you everything you ever wanted to know about the RV when I bought it. And I am going to tell you everything I have done to this RV, all the maintenance, all the repairs on both the coach and the chassis since I bought it. I thought that that would be a really good learning tool for you guys so that you kind of get an idea of what maintenance of a Class C RV would be like over 3 years of ownership, or 3.5 years of ownership. So that's what I'm going to be working on as soon as I get this one up for you. But, you know, real-time rip-off here. So, all right, I'll talk to you soon. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me. Don't worry about me. I'm fine. I'm just angry. And did I ever tell you the story about the Doc Martens? Someday I'll tell you the story about the Doc Martens. A small business ripped me off when I was in college, a pair of Doc Martens that I bought. And it took me a year and a half to get my money back. And I went to the DA. I mean, I was not going to let them rip me off on my Doc Martens. And it took me a year and a half, but I finally got my money back. So, you know, I kind of thrive on being the warrior against injustice. So don't worry about me. I'm fine, but I'm just annoyed and upset. But it'll all work out. I'll let you know. I'll keep you posted. Thank you all. I'll see you soon. In the meantime, be happy, be free, and be kind. Mwah. I'll see you soon. Bye. Oh, you gotta see the obligatory Sadie. Hi. She's been running around, playing. Huh? You're a dirty girl. You're a dirty girl. Say bye.